Tell them to stop yelling.
Good evening and welcome to the Coach Jones Show Spring Special. Right now, here's your host, Sammy Hendricks. Sammy?
I think, Adam, joining us here will be Coach Mario Jones. Coach, we appreciate you joining us here in the spring get together here.
Well, thank y'all for coming on such short notice. I know we've got a lot going on, so excited to talk about it all.
Well, Coach, we'll just, we'll start off. We'll talk real briefly about your first season here as the head football coach of Charlton County Indians. Played just well enough last year to squeak into the playoffs. First round didn't go as expected, went over to Lincoln County and got pretty much manhandled by them. Making the playoffs into your first season here, how do you look at that season? Do you look at that season as a success, or is something you need to build on, or something we need to expect more of out of our football team?
Well, I think anytime you don't finish the last game, in Atlanta playing for it all, you always look and see what you can do better. But I look at last season as a foundation builder. I look at, I think you have to look at, the past in order to not recreate it in terms of, obviously ending the season the way you want to. So last season was a foundation builder. I think we've built a great foundation for, what we expect out of our guys in the classroom and in the community. And as hard as we want them to work in the weight room and on the field. So last year was a foundation builder. We're out of getting to know each other now. So most people call it the honeymoon phase. And so now we're into the meat and potatoes of it. And, everybody knows what's to be expected. So, it's holding each other accountable, coaches and players and everybody that is involved with the program. But definitely look at last season, best way to put that is as a foundation builder. I will tell you, nobody – has taken a look at last season and revisited time and time again more than I have as to where we can improve, and that improvement started with me as a head coach first. So I'm excited to get into year two. Absolutely love all of our kids, not just the football kids I coach, but the track kids and the students that I get to interact with. The thing about being in a small community, the unique thing is you get to know everybody. And so I'm just, I'm as fired up as I was when I first walked in the door to be here. So I'm just excited.
Well, Coach, you had the all season to, think about last year. You got a few new members on your coaching staff. Some are gone. What has the conversation been like with you and your new coaching staff?
Go to work. It's, really not a lot, to talk about in the off season. You need to stay active, make sure that you're lifting weights. We've got this nutrition program, off the ground and rolling last year. So continue to monitor guys' height and weight. And so I don't know that you can so much find the secret to, making everybody 6'2" or better. But we've definitely found something in terms of, putting weight healthily on kids and helping our kids, just be more well balanced all the way around. So, there's really nothing, outside of wrapping up the previous season and what went good and what didn't go good in exit meetings. It's getting to work, and that work started, right after the season ended and in January, really picked up. And one of the unique things that we're able to do here, Sammy, which is not always you're able to do at a single A school, is we've kept the weight room going in spite of all the other winter and spring sports. So definitely excited about that.
Well, we mentioned just briefly there a while ago, we got what I understand is a new offense and a new defensive coordinator. Tell us a little bit about those two gentlemen.
Well, I will say the biggest thing about anything new that we're going to have going on in our program is it's going to fit, who we say we want to be and what we say we want to be. We want to be tough on both sides of the ball. So probably, when you talked earlier in the segment about, what we learned from last year, there were times when, we were as tough could be. And one of the games I look back on was, we had to have a lot of grit and toughness to finish that Lanier County game out. And then, even though it was a track meet back and forth between us and Turner, we lined up in an offensive set and sat in and set, almost set a school record. I believe we set a school record for rushing yards in a game. And then there were games where we got knocked around. And so those are, things that, for fans, they look at it that night and they talk about it and they badmouth it and, then it kind of leaves them. But as a coach, it's something that you fundamentally know at some point in the offseason, you've got to address how tough you are or where you're deficient at being tough, and then put our kids in situations where they've got to battle through it. And those are things that we've done this offseason that I feel, a little bit more confident about going into year 2, that we've developed that sense of internal toughness so that when adversity strikes us, we don't blink.
Well, Coach, speaking of going into year 2, you've been coaching for a long time, and I know at the end of each season you look back and say, what could have I done different, or what could have been different? What are some changes that we expect to see coming up here in year 2 that maybe didn't happen last year?
I think it's like our offensive coordinator, Coach Kevius Johnson, talks about with our kids in weight class, and it's being an expert at the details. Sammy, you can say you're going to do these 10 things, but have you broken down what it takes to make each and every one of those things successful? And then harping in on just the little details. It's like at the end of our practice, one of the segments we were doing, I said to our guys, football is still about blocking and tackling. Their schemes have changed and evolved, but football is still about getting in front of somebody, keeping your hands in front of them, coming off the ball, low hat, low hips with your eyes up and striking somebody. And so that's gotten away from so much in today's day and age. That's why I love single A football. Nowhere else in the state of Georgia are you seeing teams one week being the spread and the next week being in the wishbone or being in the flex bone or being in the wing tee or, lining up 2 tight ends and 3 backs. So it definitely, forces you to be tough. But one of the things we want to do different this year is we want to be the temperature setters. We want to set the temperature for the game. We don't want to wait on somebody to attack us. We want to go attack folks, and as they find success or fail against us, we want it to be because they were maybe better than us in that situation, or they just had a good scheme in that. But we don't want it to be because we didn't choose to be tough, and that's something most coaches would probably shy away or be afraid to admit. But that's something that showed up in an all-season film study for me as to in key moments, how did this get away from us? And a lot of it I didn't like to see, but I know that it would help guide me to being a better coach this year.
Well, we're sitting out here behind us here, we got some football players that are participating in both football and track, and I'll ask them the same questions in just a minute. How does playing football and track at the same, how do they mirror each other? How does one make football better by running track and make track better by playing football?
The obvious thing for track, is it keeps you in shape. I always told the kids last year when I was the sole head coach for both programs, you can't be on the track team and hate running. I mean, it just doesn't go hand in hand. You got to run in order to get better. And I think for football, we're going to grow as long as I'm here, we're going to grow our football program through our track program. You can't talk about being fast if you don't train to be fast. And, so we found success, success that I think has previously been here in our track programs. We're, back-to-back region champs and handedly won it with the girls and handedly won it with the boys this year. So we found success. Something's working in that area, and now as much of it as we can get to translate to football, we'd like for that too. But I see it every day. I don't wait till, we go out on the football field and the lights are on to, help our young men believe that we believe in them. Because a lot of this stuff, Sammy, truth be told, games are won and lost now, not necessarily in the film room or on the practice field. A lot of them are won and lost on social media now. Kids, battle with thinking they've worked as hard as they can, and somebody just tells them that they can't. It is our job as coaches to motivate them and help push them and help them believe. But, we're fighting a lot of battles. And I know a lot of coaches that would agree with that and say that. And so as much as we can be around them, either on the track or with football, because while we're out there at track practice, I'm worried about track. I'm worried about, are we in our blocks correctly? And Coach Simmons has brought in an entire, track practice plan that's been successful for him, different places that he's been. So we tried to model what we want both programs to be similar, so that our kids never feel like that they're away from us. Right. So,
because you've been in the Charlton County locker room for the first time last year. The 9 or 10, 11 seniors we had graduated. They're gone from the locker room this year. You got some new seniors coming in. How was the camaraderie being between the seniors and the current players from last year, the new kids that are coming up this year?
So, like I said, last year, those guys were foundation builders for us. Everything that we were able to accomplish, folks look at, you lost in the first round, you finished the season, at 500, but finished the season at 5-6. But those kids, maintained a 3.4 GPA through the season, and everything was brand new. We started this food program. We had a bunch of parent support, bunch of community support. So, those guys were foundation builders. Now what I'm asking this group of seniors to do, and what I'm asking them to be, is that we want to be a player-led team. We want our players to help hold each other accountable and show each other the way. I think the quicker you can get a senior to realize, obviously that clock's ticking, right? But the quicker you can get them to realize that the things that you teach these younger guys, that cycle's going to continue, because I bet that they can remember back when they were freshmen, something good and bad an older person probably taught them within football. And then obviously we want them to duplicate the positive things and, have learned from the negative things and be able to say things that we as adults say, hey, I once went through that. Don't you make that same mistake. So, we're pushing our seniors this year to be more player-led and holding each other accountable and loving each other and finding, ways. And one of the ways will be when we do our Indian lock-in later in the summer. It's going to be I always tease these guys about it being fun. It's going to be a lot more fun this year just because second year, everybody's familiar with each other. It's not like you need to be, surprised about what's to come. It's going to be something tougher than the day before. So we've stacked a bunch of good days on top of each other. I will tell you that I feel much better about spring practice this year. It's not just a being comfortable thing. I see guys working hard and it translating to the track, to the practice field, and I'm super excited about what I believe this journey is that we're getting ready to go on.
Well, Coach, we know you breathe and eat football all the time. What have you done? I'm going to get a little personal here. What have you done yourself, minus football, during the offseason, kind of get yourself prepared for this year coming up?
Stay close to our kids. I think, this is we say a business, but if I didn't have my kids, and I'm talking not just our football program, but if I didn't have my girls on the track team that I coach and boys who are not all football players on the track team, if we didn't have these folks in our program, then we wouldn't have a program. And so, being at as many basketball games or coming to baseball games when you can come to them, or just, immersing yourself in the school community during the day and making sure you get out and meet. It's, obviously going to coaching clinics and all the things that coach do for professional development, but I never ever want to get away from, loving the players and getting to know them. I will tell you the number of head coaches that I've spoken with prior to being a head coach and since I've become a head coach that say it's just different when you become a head coach. You're not as close to the players, and I don't want it to be that way. I don't ever want to feel detached from the one thing that's the constant variable in the equation, which is the players. And so, just being closer with them, finding other opportunities other than talking to them about the football or talking to them about track that means something to them.
Well, Coach, we'll talk about the spring game a little bit later on. A lot going on during the summertime, fundraisers, all kind of things going on with the football team. Tell us what's going on and what we can expect to see the players out doing for the community.
Well, one of the most impressive things about being in this community, with as small of a community as it is, we did a texathon, and I'll kind of steal some of the track team's thunder, but the track team did a texathon where each one of your folks that are signed up, go and get 25 contacts, and they entered it into this portal, and then you have to go send a text through, but then it continues to send that person a text, not necessarily to bother them, but remind them that, hey, this person has identified you as being a supporter of the program, and you can give anything. And so I think track did it for 10 days and raised $11,000. And so it was obviously something that I looked at and said, well, we'll probably have a few more people do it than what track did. Let's see what type of support that we could gain. And I will tell you, Sammy, we only ran ours for a week. And in a week, we raised close to $17,000.
That's good. Yeah.
And so now obviously we pay some of that to the company that we do the fundraiser through. But this is going to enable us to do one of two things that I really want to do to grow our program. One, our players don't have enough merchandise that says Charlton County that gives them a sense of pride, and I hate that. I don't, I would love to be able to give them something every day that they could wear to where every day was a Charlton County Indian Day. But we're going to address that with a lot of this money. You know why? Because the players raise it, so a lot of the bulk of it's going to go back to them in that way. And then the next part is there's a few pieces of field equipment that we do not have out here that is customary, and one of them is a chute for the linemen and really for anybody that wants to work on getting lower, that we don't have, that we've already ordered and that's on the way. So those were a couple of things, and then the price of everything has gone up around the country, and so we wash clothes every day. Obviously, we have the meal program going, so it takes money to run a first-class program. I am definitely appreciative of everything that we've done thus far, but obviously, being the leader of the program, I always want to grow it forward and do more. I will never, ever stop wanting to do more for our kids, and that's not just saying that. I always tell them, if I can give you something, if I can do something for you, then we'll do it. But I need your help, and they've stepped up in a major way. I never would have thought in a week, 7 days, that we would have raised that much money. So kudos to the community. I know the bulk of it probably came from folks right here in the community, but for everybody who supported these kids and are supporting our program, because I just refuse to believe that better days aren't ahead for us.
Right. Well, Coach, anything else about practice last week, this week, and the week coming up that you want to speak on before we swap over and talk a little bit of track?
Yeah, one of the things I thought about, and I kind of moved around the track meet on Saturday and asked a few coaches, and I didn't want to share this with our kids. I kind of told them in the office before we came in here. Our guys were some of the only ones that had competed at the sectional track meet that had been at football practice every day. Now we've held our guys for the most part out of contact, but everything else, as fast paced as we try to run of a practice, they've done all the individual work, on top of having just come from a track practice. So we've still had track practice, and then those guys obviously come in after we've done the bulk up, because the way we structure practice, the bulk of our hitting is done at the beginning and at the end, and then the individual work and group work is done in between. And so those guys have come over from track practice and jumped right in, and for the most part, I hadn't heard any of them complain. And to go watch them compete, what I enjoy more than anything is when I see them either come out of the block or start a race, whether they've won the race, and they have more times than not, been first across the finish line. But I enjoy seeing them at the end, because what I see is not just them finishing a race, but I've seen them in the weight room. I've seen them walking around during the school day. And that's just that is about what brings me to tears, just because, they've worked hard. They deserve that success. And I saw it long before that end result that everybody cares about. So I couldn't be any more proud of the, kids that we have here, and all of the ones that, we're going to carry up to Albany that I know are going to do well this weekend.
Okay. We don't get very often, we get some of the players to get on here and talk, but I want to give a shout out to Brandon. He was at the home baseball game, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and he came up there and gave us a little interview. So I want to give a shout out to him. Appreciate him joining us on that.
I heard him. I think y'all caught him off guard a little bit, so hopefully he does a little bit better tonight. No pressure.
All right, we'll take a quick break and we'll come back and talk some track.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with the Coach Jones Show Spring Special right after this.
Baseball fans, when it comes to roofing, don't just play today.
Stetson Development Company is a proud supporter of Charlton County and the youth of our community. They provide concrete services, lane clearing, forestry mulching, demolition, material hauling, driveways, and so much more. Stetson Development Company has also done work out at Indian Field for our fans to enjoy this upcoming season and beyond. For more information, call 912-670-1003 or 912-496-2351.
All right, welcome back to the Coach Jones Show. Joining us now is Coach Simmons and senior Kiera Green. We're going to talk a little bit of track. Coach, thanks for joining us. Kiera, appreciate you joining us down there. Coach, talk a little track about it with us.
Our 2025 track team track season was off to a great start, and we're continuing to have a wonderful finish. Currently, we're getting prepared for our state championship over in Albany, which will be this Friday and Saturday. We have 12 young ladies and 8 young men giving Charlton County another run at greatness. And so appreciative and for the opportunity to coach such a wonderful team. And these young ladies and these young men have worked extremely hard from the beginning of the season all the way through it, and just deserving of the opportunity to show their greatness once again out on the track, and to be able to run, to jump, have relays, distance events. It's just a great honor, and to be able to sit back and just see those young ladies and young men compete this weekend. It'll be such an honor.
Well, Coach, there's very seldom that, well, maybe I might not know, but very seldom that you get to go as far into the playoffs or the state track system as Charlton has the last 2 years. How honored are you to be able to, have these same guys coming back and there for the second year in a row?
Well, I'll tell you this. Now, I've been on the opposing side going against Charlton the last 2 years, and what I've seen on the track, especially with the girls, was just a phenomenal group of young ladies. Even 2 years ago, I felt they could have won the state championship, but they put it all together last year and were able to bring home the state championship back here to Folkestone. And this year there was a great core group of girls with great experience. Kiara Green, you'll hear from her in just a moment. Michaela Milton, Makaria Gibbs, Kyla Kidd, Nahi Meza, and Sincere Humphreys. Those core group of young ladies were there last year and helped earn that state championship to come back. But coming in as a track coach this year, one thing I want to make sure and try to make sure we do was try to just add depth in all the areas, whether it was on the sprint, whether it's in the field, whether it's with relays and distance events. And we were able to do that because the help of these young ladies, they were just great leaders all the way through. And just mentioning those 6 young ladies was able to help bring along 6 other young ladies who were first year athletes in track. Carly Cruz, Callie Carter, Layla Nash, Sierra McHenry, Yanni Gibbs, and Maya Mitchell. More freshmen and even one sophomore, just to add to our depth. So we add depth in our sprints. We add depth in our distance events, in the field, with field events, and just seeing that, being able to see that all come together, able to bring home the region championship a couple of weeks ago. On the boys' side, we have 8 young men coming, representing us for the state championship. Trevin Cobb, Brandon Willett, these were young men. Zach Hamlet, Javion Fellows, these were young men that were last year part of the program. And again, to help lead these young men to come along, Austin Rowan, Jason Wilcox, Josh Swift, Trey Jones, first-year guys coming back to the program. So leadership that we had from those young men, leadership we had from those young ladies to help bring the whole core group together. You'll see it all together on Friday and Saturday. I'm just so excited.
One more quick question, and we'll swap over to Kiera there just a minute. You get to coach side by side with Coach Jones on the football field. What is it like swapping over to the track and working with him side by side on the track?
A lot of people may know, but I say it again. Coach Jones is like a son to me. I was his English teacher in 9th grade, his football coach at Rains High School in Jacksonville. Having to come back to have the opportunity to be right here at the program, right along with him, whether it was football or track, it's just a joy each and every day. God is an awesome God, and to bring us able to come together, and now to see him in that role, whether it's football or even work together in track, it just goes together, and I'm just enjoying every minute of it.
Coach, you want to add anything to that, Coach Jones?
Yeah. When I was in the 9th grade, Coach Simmons told on me. It got me swatted. That was back when they were swatting kids still. Me and my good buddy, he may be watching from New York, Ollie Green, we were talking, and we thought Coach Simmons didn't hear us, and he wrote a note and stapled it. Probably put about 30 staples in a single sheet of paper and sent us to our head coach's class. And, yeah, that changed our relationship that day. But I joke about that with him. But, no, talking about the kids that Coach talked about, both our maidens and our Indians that were new. Last year's team was, and I was calling Coach Simmons a lot because he was the head coach at Turner. We knew we were going to bring him over. And so calling, just bouncing ideas off of him. And a lot of the things were things that he and I had discussed that we did last year. So, watching the new folks to the program this year, if you would have saw them on day one, and we said this to them when track first started, just keep plugging away. And by this time at the end of the year for track, which is now, you guys work hard, you'll be in the fight. And so I'm so proud of all of these young ladies that he called, especially because a lot of them were just trying it for the first time, wanted to get better, either for softball or cheerleading or for something else. Track wasn't a love, and now you can see as they compete that they care about it. And so, I called Coach Simmons Sunday talking about track, the logistics for this week, putting our heads together about that, and he heard it in my voice about just how excited I was about just for this kind of being the culmination. And this week really, and I don't think kids really understand this. I probably told Kiera this several times this week and last week. This is a bittersweet moment for me because I was brand new coming here, didn't know, hardly anybody. Kiera was really one of the first people that I met. She was coming in, and I asked to, be the track coach maybe a week or two after first getting here. And so this has been a kind of a bittersweet time for me. Watching her and Michaela, compete, just because last year we kind of went on that run with the girls, and I remember, after that first day, when we scored maybe just a few points in the field events, Coach Simmons calling me because he's, been in it a while. And he said, "Hey man, if you go do what I think you guys are going to do on the track tomorrow, y'all gonna win the state championship." I didn't know how to say that to them girls because we had never won one, and I know Kiera was expecting to do well in her event, and some of the other girls were expecting maybe just to be there, but we weren't expecting, and this probably sounds funny to somebody that doesn't understand, we weren't expecting to hold up the big trophy. And so I remember the night before I asked them, what they wanted to do, and after hearing a bunch of different ideas, I took them bowling. And what's interesting about that is Mitchell County's boys won the state championship last year, and our girls won, and both of our teams were at the same bowling alley the night before. So I just wanted to take them to do something fun with them to kind of ease their nerves, because if you can imagine what it's like at the state football championships for those players, the state track meet's about the same because there's a bunch of people out there, everybody's hooping and hollering, and, for your little 1 to 2 minute segment, everybody's watching the start line and watching the finish line, and people, love the competition. So, this is, like I say, for obvious reasons, outside of, these young ladies, my guys that I'm with every day in the weight room and around campus, getting to watch them compete. And, I just I'm not, going to shed the tears, but I love my kids that much. Yeah. So I'm excited to see what they do this week, and I really am.
Well, Coach, if you will, we'll bring Kara in, let her talk real quick. Here, first of all, appreciate you joining us here on the Coach Jones Show.
Thank you.
Senior this year.
Yes, sir.
Last chance to get it all.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about how your last 2 or 3 seasons have been with the track.
It's been really good. We had a great season last year, and I'm just hoping that we have another one when we go win this weekend.
Tell us all what you perform in. What events did you perform in?
I did the 100, 200, 4x1, and 4x2.
Okay. How important is your teammates to be behind you and you be behind your teammates to lift each other up during these track meets?
It's really important because if they lift us up, then we can do good, and if we lift them up, they can do good too. And it's just really a bonding thing, really.
Well, it's kind of funny you said that. It makes me bring back and think about, I'm good friends with your grandpa and your Ed and Perry and all them guys. They do the same thing. They lift people up, and that's leaders, and that's
yes,
what
sir.
that's what it sounds like you are as a leader. Tell us about your coaches. How much do they mean to you, and how did they lead you? How did they drive you? They make you be the person that you are on the track?
All of us really love them, and they just take the time out of their day to come work with us and make us better. And we just they really push us every day. And at practice, they just make us want to go out there and run, and we have fun. And I think that's really the main point of everything.
Right. Out there practicing in the heat, running in track meets at 90, 95 degrees. How do you make yourself get prepared for that?
Well, it's hot, and we just really come out there and do what we got to do so we can go.
Okay. You got your men's side over here, out there sitting there watching you right now. What can you say to them and wish them about this coming Saturday?
I just motivate y'all to go run and do good so we can bring a championship back.
Okay. And I know they're supporting you as well.
Yeah.
Coach, you got anything else on track side? What are you looking for Saturday?
Well, I tell you, again, looking towards Saturday, it's going to open up with field events. On Friday at 9 o'clock, Michaela Milton should be involved in the long jump. After that, we will have some of our young men. Trevin Cobb will be doing the triple jump. Trey Jones will be involved in the long jump, and we'll end off with our field events. I think about 2 o'clock we'll have Makaria Gibbs and Iyani Gibbs doing the triple jump, and then on Friday the prelims of the running event start. So our first event on the track will be our boys. 110 hurdles. We'll have Trevin Cobb and Trey Jones competing in that, and then we get to see a good show from our girls. We'll have Brandon Willard will be in the 100 meter dash, and then also we'll have Kiara Green and Michaela Mitchell representing us in the 100 meter dash. We'll move down. We have our 4x8 team, boys 4x8 team, girls and boys 4x8 team competing. And that'll be a finals. We have the 200 meter dash again. Brandon Willard, Kiara Green, and Michaela Milton will be involved in that. We have our 300 meter hurdles again. Trevin Cobb and Trey Jones will be involved in that as well. And we'll end off the first day with the 1,600 meter run. And Naheem Mays will be representing us in the 1,600 meter run. And that's for prelims. And then the next day is our finals. We want to make sure all of our athletes get to the finals, but we'll have our 4x200 meter relay teams for our girls and boys. And we'll end off the day with our 4x400 meter relay team represented with our girls. And just a great day of events, get the chance to see these young men and young ladies. I told them today, had them laughing today, just one more time out there on the track, and just go do your best, and I'm going to leave you alone the rest of the year. But it's all good, and they're just excited once again just to see the culmination of the hard work and the efforts that they have put in from day one to get to this point. Extremely excited from all the support that we've gotten. I heard Coach Jones mention about our community support that helped us with our textathon. All those things come together to make a track team, and it's not just them out there running, jumping, and throwing. It takes the coaches, it takes the great supportive staff from our administration, our teachers, our parents, our community support. They've all really poured in everything we've asked of them. And again, we just get to sit back and see these young ladies, young men just one more time this year. And Coach mentioned about it, just a bittersweet moment with our young ladies. I mentioned to them today, they're seniors, and they're going out one more time, the last event, last time, just to represent themselves, represents their families and their communities, and it's just going to be an exciting weekend.
Well, going back to Kerry real quick, not only great success out on the track, high school football cheerleader, won homecoming queen this year. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
You got anything else you want to add to Saturday? What do you expect to see Saturday? And
I just really expect us to win, and if we come out there with a great mindset and get what we need done, then we will win again.
So, being successful as you are on the track, and I'm just going to ask you this: you don't got to give answer if you don't want to.
Okay.
What is next for Kier when it comes to track after high school? Anything in the future?
Yeah, I plan to run in college.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What college are you going to? Yeah.
I'm not sure yet.
Okay. Well, good luck to you on Saturday.
Thank you.
We'll know you'll do good. We'll be pulling for you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And we'll take another quick break. We'll be right back with the Coach Joe Show right after this.
Packaging Corporation is one of America's leading manufacturers of sustainably sourced and produced disposable paper products, including paper plates, cups, bowls, and bags. AGM is a family-owned business that was founded in 1957, and our family values are still present today across all locations. We are currently growing and have several career opportunities that offer competitive compensation, advancement opportunities, and employer-paid benefits. Please apply at agmpack.com/careers or come to our facility at 569 Bowery Lane in Folkestone to fill out an application today. We look forward to meeting and greeting you at our facility.
Walker Jones is your automotive superstore on Memorial Drive in Waycross. All the best brands: Chevy, Cadillac, GMC, Toyota, Nissan, and Honda, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, plus our pre-owned supercenter. And we're the home of the lifetime warranty. Come let us treat you like friends and good neighbors should.
Hey, I'm Mike Cuneo, General Manager at Walker Jones. We've got it all. Why shop anywhere else?
Online at walkerjones.com.
Walker Jones.
In your time of need, give Rob Robertson a call at 912-496-7388. Shepherd Robertson Funeral Home says go Indians.
All right, welcome back to the Coach Jones Show, the track segment. Joining us now is Trevin Cobb, Trey Jones, and Brandon Woolard, members of both football and track teams. Guys, how y'all doing?
Good.
Everybody ready for Saturday?
Yes, sir.
Trevin, go ahead and start off with us and tell us what events you're participating in.
I participate in the 110 hurdles, 300 hurdles, triple jump, and 4x2.
You're a junior now, correct?
Yes, sir.
That. So how do you do the switch over from football to track? How do they help you in each one of them? How does track help you in football, and how does football help you in track?
Track, you go out there, you run, condition, and then football, agility mainly.
And also, I forgot about you need to add basketball in there as well. So you got all three of those sports back to back. So what is the team mentality heading into Saturday? You got a region, now you're going in for the state?
Really, we need to work on our main events, and then we need to work on the relay and come in as a team ready to work.
Right. Well, you get to, you coached by Coach Simmons and Coach Jones in football, and now you got both of them in track. What is your relationship between the two of them, and how do they help you from football to track?
We built a bid bond throughout the years, and since they came here, we've been came in and loving, and they really helped us through track and then coming into football.
Okay. Well, ask this question: who's the fastest, you or Coach Jones?
Coach Jones got it.
Coach Jones, give us a little bit of update on Trevin there.
I'm proud of Trevin. All of our guys, at some point, obviously being a dad, having a little girl, all of our guys, kind of keep me hip to, I've got a almost 3-year-old, but I've got, a bunch of teenagers. So, our Trevin's fun. We always start every morning off with a hug, and, unless I miss him at dinner or whatever, we always end the day with one. So, love him. He's come a long way. He's battled, a lot. And so I'm excited to see, him go and compete again. It's one of those things where I've seen him work extremely hard in the weight room. I've seen him translate that into, early morning football meetings when we started that. I've seen him translate that on the track. And then, like I said, all of these guys have been involved in football practice. So just to see him go out and compete, I want the, world for him on Friday and Saturday. So, excited for him. He knows I'm in his corner, and, and he knows that, if he needs anything, he needs to sit down and talk. I'm always here for him. So that's the kind of bond that I have, with all of my kids. So I'm excited to see him go compete Friday and Saturday.
Well, you really don't get a break. You go straight from basketball to track, and then from track practice to football practice. How do you handle all that?
You got to come every day willing to work.
Tell us a little bit about your guys that are running track with you. Two sit behind you and one's out in the audience there.
We grew up together, built a bid bond throughout the years. And Trey, he came in with Coach Jones. We came in, he was loving, and we was loving him. And
I'm gonna kind of go off track here real quick. Tell us a little bit about the upcoming football season, just briefly.
We got a new coach, new offensive coordinator. And he came in, and we've been we've been learning new plays from him. We on the field, but I think we got a good chance this year.
All right, Trev and Cobb, man, we appreciate it, and we wish you good luck on Saturday.
Thank
you. Just pass it back there to them guys. Now joining us is Brandon Ward. Brandon, we appreciate you joining us. This is the second time in the last 2 weeks we've had you on the headphones there.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about Saturday. How do you feel going into Saturday?
I'm really excited about Saturday. I mean, second time going back to state. Can't really expect nothing else than last year, but really excited about it.
Okay. Tell us what events you run in.
I got 100, 200, and 4x2.
Okay. You know, you kind of in the same situation that Trevin is there. You come straight from the track to football. How do you make that adjustment going from one to the other?
It just come ready to work. Expect what you don't expect. Just ready to work.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about your coaches, about Coach Simmons and Coach Jones. What kind of leaders are they?
Coach Jones, Coach Simmons, I really appreciate them. They're really good leaders. You just listen to what they say. They give you good advice, and you gotta listen.
Well, I'm gonna ask you the same question. Who's the fastest, you or Coach Jones?
Can't really decide on that. We gotta find out.
Oh man, y'all are funny.
Talk to us a little bit about the girls track team and what a great job they're doing.
They're doing a really good job right now. Same thing as last year. They came in, did good, and this year they're doing good too.
Right. So I'm gonna ask you the same question. Tell us a little bit real quick about the upcoming football season. What are you looking for?
Upcoming football season, I'm really excited for it. I really expect us to win state. All the work that I done seen, everybody improving this spring, and then summer we're gonna get to work in, and then fall we're all gonna get to work in. Really expect for a state championship.
Good. All right. Brandon Ward, we appreciate you joining us, and good luck to you on Saturday.
Thank you.
Now we got Trey Jones joining us here with the track bunch. Trey, appreciate you joining us, man.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and what events you run in track.
I run 110, 4x2, long jump, and 300-meter hurdles.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about your teammates on your track team.
Teammates on my track team, Trevin, he really pushed me for the 110 to do better. When I came in, I didn't really know how to do hurdles, but learning from him, he made me better at the hurdles. Brandon, he got me better with my block starts and getting out.
Okay. What do you think about the girls and the great success they've had over here at Charlton track team?
I think they're doing good. Back to back, they back to back. Kiera won state last year, and he came back. And
well, just like the rest of these guys up here, you play football as well and playing track. How do you deal with going from the heat, running out there practicing track, and going over and practicing spring football?
You just got to keep a good mindset because we all have goals to do, so you got to go through it.
Right. This is your second year in Charlton, right? Correct.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I remember you looked really good last year running the ball,
yes,
running back for the football team. So we look forward to seeing you carry the ball more times next year. Talk a little bit about your two coaches, Coach Jones and Coach Simmons.
Coach Jones, Coach Simmons, they are great leaders. I love them. They made, I'll say they made the whole football team better, man.
How do they make them better?
We have a thing that's character ed. We'll talk about, how to be a man, accountability, how to become a better person and a better man.
Right. Well, how are you enjoying this has been your second year? How are you enjoying the football program here at Charlton?
I like it. It's a lot of love here. They make you feel welcome.
Okay. Well, Trey, good luck to you Saturday as well.
Yes, sir.
Y'all go down and win it. Coach, you got anything you want to say about these three men before we?
No. Obviously, Brandon, when I got here, everybody, kept telling me about Speedy B. I was wondering, who that was and how fast he was. But, Brandon, last year I knew Brandon was a special talent. And in this track season, to watch him, you start watching these sprints, and they're unique to watch. And really the one, probably my favorite out of all the sprints outside of the 400, because that's like the ultimate race. But to watch those guys in the 100, about 40, 50 meters in, be kind of neck to neck with each other, and then to watch Brandon kind of be able to pull away. And so I've watched him be successful this track season and have some attitude and grit about himself that that I didn't necessarily see last year during football and track. So that I know that it's been inside of him, but to see him do it, it's all him, man. He has an excellent support system. I know he's going to have plenty of family there this weekend to help support him, and then obviously Trey being my nephew. I know his aunt and my daughter, his cousin, are sitting at home watching this, and she's probably going crazy because she sees, her big brother / cousin on the TV. But I'm excited for Trey's growth. Trey has grown a lot, academically and athletically. And then to, have watched him last weekend. Coach Simmons will tell you, I talked to him Sunday just about, not necessarily the end result of what I saw Trey do running the hurdles, especially the 110 hurdles, but to have watched him finish the race the way he did. I saw him break a lot of things or settle a lot of things that he needed to have done in his life personally. And I will openly admit I cried about that, man. To see my nephew have done that. People can be so cruel sometimes, in sports and the successes and failures that kids have had. But when you're raising one and then you see them go and do something athletically that is going to open up a door for them or a pathway for them, for the rest of their life, I couldn't be any prouder. So for that reason, this weekend's really, really special. So I'm excited.
Coach Simmons, you with these guys on the football field and this year out there on the track. Talk a little bit about each one of them and how special they are to you.
Well, silent leaders, they don't say much. They're not real vocal to be leaders, but they do it by action. I kind of heard Trey just mention just kind of being led by Trevin early in the season to kind of get him going with hurdles. He's done a great job of help do that. Brandon Wood, I got here, I have to learn names, so I gave him the nickname Good Hair. And they asked me why I call him Good Hair. Well, look at me, that's good hair. But to see him, his growth, Coach talked about that too as well. I saw him on the track last year. Again, I was head coach at Turner's track, and I saw those guys on the track last year. And, to be able to see them and just kind of, you look at where they are and how they've grown, and you just see the time just keep going down and going down and going down. And just all the effort, and it's all coming together. And even, as I mentioned about Trevin too, not just his hurdles, not just the 110 hurdles, not 300 hurdles, but he does well in our triple jump. I needed help scoring points just to make sure that we were doing well in the region. I asked him just go score some points for the high jump with me. He did that too as well. And then I knew I was going to add him, back on the relays, once we got to sectional and eventually to the state, just to be able to plug in and pull himself in and do that. I mean, to do that, and again, our times are going down and we're doing better. I mean, to see those guys, and we had one more, but this was our 4x2 team, except one guy, Javion Fellows, was on there. We had the worst lane in our event and came out coming in second place in that heat. And, that's phenomenal to do what they did out of lane 8. If you know track, that's the worst lane to be on, but to see those guys just do what they did in track too, on the track as well. And Trey Jones, mentioned a first-year guy coming in the track program. He mentioned about his long jump. He was kind of down after the first series in the sectionals. He didn't think he did well to qualify for the finals. He qualified for the finals and then came out and did a fabulous jump, phenomenal jump of 21 feet, 3 1/4 or 3 7/4. To get him in a great position now to do extremely well at the state in the long jump too as well. But I talked to Coach Jones. I sent him a text during the sectional meet just after he ran. And I just kind of told him, from point A to point B, we're talking about success. From point A to point B, in my 20 years of coaching track, Trey has just done a great job with the hurdles, just from where he started to the success that he's having. It's just fun to watch. You saw him on the 110 hurdles. He's that close to breaking a school record almost, and it has in his mind he wants to go do that. I just want him to just go perform well and do what he needs to do. But he ended up first coming out of sectionals, and that's half of the state of Georgia. Let's understand exactly what that is. This is half of the state of Georgia that they competed in this past Saturday. And we had a young man who was first in half of our state of Georgia, and that's just a great job to that. And then he's on the 300 hurdles. Doing a great job. He gets to second to the last rack, I believe, and he trips and falls. But he rolls and gets up, clears the next hurdle, and still qualifies. And so we have 2 of our hurdlers qualifying for the 110, 300 hurdles. I know they're going to do well. Again, I'm just so excited about that. Brandon Willard, you see him in the 100, which he was kind of nip and tuck a little bit early in the season, but then it kind of just really kicked in. And he just keeps performing, doing better, and getting the time down more and more each day. And so just so proud of those guys. And, again, just excited about to see it on Friday and Saturday.
Well, it's got to be a blessing to both of you coaches. And I'm going to try to make this make sense. Sometimes you have fast kids. You got a guy that can pitch. You got a guy that can run the ball. But it's one thing to have fast players and to have athletes. They can do just about anything. And that's what these guys are, including Kara herself. Having athletic players like that can do more than one thing for you. It's got to be a blessing.
Yes, it has. And again, not just on the boys' side. Our girls are just so phenomenal. And we talked about those leaders of Kara Green and Michaela Milton's, Makaria Gibbs, not just be able to sprint, but also to be able to jump too as well. Michaela Milton, she's going to be representing us in the long jump again. Makaria Gibbs and Yanni Gibbs doing the triple jump. And the other freshmen are distance runners. So we're talking Carly Cruz, Callie Carter, Nahi Meza, Layla Nash. Am I forgetting one?
You don't have your list. You started that monster.
Sienna McHenry.
If you forget somebody,
you can't mess that up. You can't mess that up. To see those young ladies be able to perform on the track too as well. Layla Nash, a freshman, represented us in the region in the high jump, the 400-meter dash, the 100 hurdles, and the 300 hurdles. She's also part of our 4x4 and 4x8 800-meter relay teams for our state meet, for the sectional. Again, we're talking about half the state of Georgia. Yeah. She placed first in the high jump, clearing 4 feet 8 inches, and she has a great chance to score high points at the state meet. This is a freshman now, first year. Just so excited about what she's done as well, and to be able to kind of lead us to and help us out on our 4x4 team with our girls. And your 4x4 team, that's the last event of a track meet. That's the most exciting race in track, and it's going to be exciting. It's really going to be exciting.
Sammy, you said something I'll on a lighter note to in this segment. Sometimes that success gets to your head. I knew she was joking when she said it, but we were handing football equipment out. And this one over here wanted to know could she get her pads. And she was serious. And I said, Kira, there is no way I'm giving you football equipment. We got the state meet in a couple weeks. So it definitely breeds, confidence. But that's what we want our kids. We want to have fun with them. But everybody knows it's so much more fun when you're winning.
Right.
And we have some talented kids. And I hear people say this all the time. They just got to have somebody to motivate them the right way. So that is something that I've actually heard on the outside of it that I keep in the back of my head. That, hey, it's fine to, critique them. It's fine to coach them, but motivate them. I mean, heck, I don't want to lie to a kid, but I do look at a kid and see greatness. They're great. You see our stuff in here. Right. Greatness for every kid isn't the same thing. Some kids, their greatest thing may be just crossing the finish line. But, look, we're fortunate that we have some young ladies and young men that know how to finish, and that's what makes this weekend special.
Right. Okay. So we'll take a quick break, and we'll come back and have some seniors join us.
We'll be back with the Coach Jones Show right after this. Allen Aldridge Insurance, located in Kingsland, Georgia, is proud to serve the communities of Charlton and Camden counties, offering life, home, car, and business insurance. See Andy Gowan today for your insurance needs. Phone 912-729-7600 for more information. Protecting you is what we do. Gowan Aldridge Insurance is a proud sponsor of the Charlton Sports Network.
ESP Specialist in Fabrication is located at 169 Little Phoebe Church Road in Buxton, Georgia. President Mark Pickering and his employees utilize the latest technology with a skilled workforce to supply customers with the best custom fabrication possible. Serving clients at home and abroad makes ESP a premier employer in Charlton County. For all your specialty and fabrication needs, contact ESP at 912-496-2583 today. They're also on Facebook at ESP Specialist Fabrication. ESP is a proud sponsor of Charlton Sportsnet.
For nearly 20 years, Georgia's electric membership cooperatives have made Friday night football electrifying. As the official energy provider of the GHSA, Georgia's EMCs are proud to support high school athletics in the communities we serve, standing behind every hike, every completed pass, and every team celebration. Because we know that today's high school athletes are tomorrow's local leaders. Georgia's EMCs.
And then along came Walker Jones.
You work hard, and you need a truck that works as hard as you do. There's only one name to know: Walker Jones. That means independence, innovation, and rugged dependability. At the home with a lifetime warranty, we'll treat you like friends and good neighbors should.
This is Brad Tootin, and come see me at Walker Jones GMC in Waycross, Georgia.
GMC, we are professional grade. Walker Jones GMC, Memorial Drive in Waycross, and online at walkerjonesgmc.com.
All right, welcome back to the Coach Jones Show. Joining us now are three upcoming seniors for the Charlton County Indians football team: Maury Wilson, Joseph Zetmeyer, and Khalil Smith. Guys, how y'all doing?
Good.
Good. So, senior year coming up, last chance to play high school football. How you feeling about that?
I really feel good. Everybody been putting the work in the weight room, the classrooms, and on the football field. I just really feel good about this season.
You come in, and I'm assuming probably start running back next year for the football team. What are your expectations for the upcoming season?
Upcoming season, really just be coachable. Put the work in class, start off in the classroom, weight room, just do everything you can on the field.
Well, normally this kind of situation, you coming in as starting running back, I would say you got some big shoes to fill, but not necessarily, because you ran the ball really good last year between you and Maurice. Great tandem running back there. Tell us a little bit about him and what his absence is going to mean this year to the football team.
It's going to really mean a lot. Maurice Sims, he was a good running back. He was a good help on the team. He was like a brother to me, and, yeah, we just going to miss him. And I hope he just do good in college, and so he can set an example for us.
Well, I can guarantee you going to have people looking at you, if ain't already, before the season's over with. What have you done for yourself to kind of prepare for the upcoming season?
I really just been putting in work. Nobody ain't looking. Been doing things a lot. Putting in more work in the weight room. Getting my speed right. Really just been focused on grades, school, stuff like that.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So, lose some seniors from last year. Lose a starting quarterback. You lost a running back mate and some offensive linemen. What do you see coming up that's the guys that are going to fill those shoes coming up?
We got a lot of good little freshmen coming in next year. We got a lot of last year people coming, and I'm just so excited to see what they been going through and stuff.
So what are you going to do yourself to help the team improve this upcoming season?
Really, I'm gonna step up and be a leader. Coach talk about it a lot. You need to step up, stand out more, and just do what I can to help other people out.
All right. Coach Jones, second year coach here. This will be your second year playing under him. Tell us a little bit about him, his leadership. You tell me a little bit about Coach Jones.
Coach Jones, he's a good person. He's a good coach. He's a good father. He's a good son. I really look up to Coach Jones ever since he been here. He been having he's a really big impact in my life. He tell me when I'm wrong. He tell me when I'm right. He tell me when I need to tighten up. And he just really like a father to me, really. And I just love him.
So got some new coaches coming in. Don't know much about them yet. Haven't seen them or heard much about them. You've had a couple weeks, or I guess probably some of the all season spent with them. Just tell us briefly a little bit about at least the new offensive coordinator.
New offensive coordinator, Coach Johnson. He a good person. He's just strict. He's not nobody to play around with, especially in the weight room. He
he just always get after it.
You know, Coach Jones for the last year, and that we've had to interview him and talk with him. You know, one of his biggest things for the team is accountability. How is that big to be a successful program?
Really, he don't want us lacking. Really, he want us to put 100%, 110% every rep we do, every drill we do, and he just, yeah.
How many 1,000 yards we expect to see out of Amari this year?
I'm really right now trying to reach to 1,000 and more, but it just take one game at a time.
Coach Jones, give us a little scoop on Amari over here.
I'm proud of his growth this offseason. I think, you know, the one thing I'm most proud of is to hear. You don't always know, nor I think, you know, when you have anybody's best interest at heart, you don't always know how they receive you. And then obviously, you know, I was at a luncheon yesterday for literacy, and obviously I've been here almost a year and a half, and a lady came up and shook my hand and said, "Oh, you're the new coach." And I said, "Yes, ma'am." And she says, "Now, you've been here, how many weeks you been here?" I said, "Well, ma'am, I've been here a year and a half." She said, "Oh, well, you're still the new coach to me." So in saying that, you never know when you come in, even though you spend as much time as I've spent with Amari and all of our kids, you know, in season and off season, you never know how it is being received by them. You know, the love that you show, and it's tough love, or, you know, it's sitting down, you know, having a meal together, or, you know, taking a ride, or going fishing, or any of the multitude of things that we've done. So to hear him say that about me is truly an honor. It's one that I take, you know, without any reservation. I stand on the table, you know, to protect him just like he was one of my own. So I appreciate that. But I think the sky's the limit for Omari. I think his best days are ahead of him only if he works for it. And when you talk about that word accountability, I tell our kids, you know, I just told them yesterday, I just graduated with my master's, and I told them, I said, the significance for that for me is not necessarily having graduated, but it's that in high school and in my undergrad, I maintained about a 2.8, 2.9, just kind of teetering with, you know, everybody says that 3.0 mark. And so I told them, guys, I procrastinated. I didn't turn things in. I thought somebody was going to help me. And then here in my graduate school, I just graduated with a 3.8 GPA. So I told them what changed. Now I got serious about what I was doing. Everything to me mattered. It's taken life experience. And I think one of the greatest things for me, when I see so much in a kid like I see in Omari, I want him to get it right now. I don't want it to be tomorrow. I don't want it to be the next day. I always tell him, dude, the clock's ticking. I want you to get this lesson right now so that you can have the opportunity with the God-given ability that you've been given to go and do something that will change the course of your life and all the lives that matter to you. And my most important thing, in 10 years, if he has gone on to play in the NFL or he owns a successful business, as long as he's a good person, and if he's met the woman of his dreams, if he's a good husband, and then he's been fortunate enough to have children, and that he's a good father, that means more to me. And people say that a lot of times, and when they're not around you every day, they may think, oh, yeah, that sounds good. But our kids live it. I talk about this stuff each and every day.
Right.
And so I'm proud of him. I'm looking forward to what I know is going to be a great season for him because, you know, I know what we're doing is tailor-made for him, as well as athletes like Khalil and, you know, guys like Joseph, I hope, are chomping at the bit for the things that we're asking him to do. So I think the sky's the limit for him, and I'm going to continue to love and push him, you know, to greatness. So,
well, one quick question on that, we'll swap over. You know, as a football fan or anybody watching the game, you know, it's always the quarterback or the running back or the wide receiver. It ain't never the offensive lineman, it ain't never the defensive lineman half the time. How refreshing is do you know that you have a running back coming back this year, not only including Trey and the Bryant kid, but having Maury come back to fill in those shoes that Maurice left behind, knowing you got that talented running back coming back?
Yeah, so I think it goes to, you know, how I treated Omari last year. You know, even though, you know, Maurice, if you think about it, Omari, you know, I said this at our football banquet a couple weeks ago, Omari accounted for, you know, over 40% of our total offense last year. And so getting him to understand how important it is outside of football to take care of your body and to eat and rest and do all of those little things that if he is presented with an opportunity to play at the next level, he doesn't have a choice in doing. You're going to go to sleep and get enough rest. You're going to go eat, and you're going to follow this schedule. And so it's important because I see something for him that he necessarily may not always see for himself each and every day as he's making his decisions and going about his daily life. So it is nice for any coach to know that you've got a running back coming back that's talented. But I know what excites me even more and what I'm getting Omar to be excited about, and AJ, our quarterback, and Khalil wideouts, is we've got guys, and I hate to steal your thunder, but that's probably the next guy I want to talk to because it doesn't happen, and getting him to realize, and Maurice last year, doesn't happen without those big guys up front.
That's right.
Having coached against Charlton and preparing, that was one of the areas that when I took this job, we've got to, I can't say we're going to get bigger up front. I mean, if you don't have the kids in the school that are very big, you try to tailor make what you do. Right. We've got some big-bodied kids, so I want them to play like they look. And Joseph, so far, has battled a little injury, through spring, but you never would have known because he doesn't complain and doesn't say anything. He's developing a little something about himself that is kind of what I want up front that matches what we have in the backfield. We've got two guys in the backfield. Elijah Bryant, Omar ran track last year, and Elijah Bryant ran track and ran some at the beginning of this year. Got a verified, time of 11.2, and you look at the size of Omar, who's bulked up this offseason and kind of trimmed up. And then you look at the size of a guy like Elijah Bryant when he walks through the door. Elijah's running 11.2 before on the track, verified track time. So, you put the nastiness up front with what we got in the backfield, and then we've got a guy back there who can, throw it and move around with his feet. Excited about, what the possibilities are. So
Good. Maury, good luck to you, man.
Yes, sir.
Good luck to seeing you run the ball.
Yes, sir.
Let's go to Joseph next. Yeah, just come over. Save the quietest one for last. Come on up some, Joseph. Yeah.
All right, joining us now is upcoming senior Joseph Zettmeyer. Joseph, how you doing, man?
Pretty good. How are you?
Appreciate you joining us.
Yes, sir.
You had a chance to work with this offense last year on the offensive line. You're going to be a key member on the offensive line this year. Tell us what we can expect on the field, passing and running the ball next year with the offensive line.
I think we're going to set the tone in the run. Always good to do. And we're going to get Mario up to 1,000 yards at least, get a few more touchdowns, and have good protection on pass pro.
Well, I know we lost a couple offensive linemen last year, so you're probably going to be the most seasoned lineman coming back.
Yes, sir.
Tell us what your plans are getting the other four guys on the offensive line to work with you. What do y'all need to do to – last year we kind of ran the ball really good. We had a little bit of struggle sometimes throwing the ball, pass blocking. What do we need to improve on that on the offensive line side?
I think we need to keep each other up. Last year sometimes we shot each other down. No one really worked together, but I feel like we can keep each other together, keep them up, and once we become whole, everything will come with it.
So you got a bunch of young guys coming up. There'll be some of those guys that are coming on the offensive line. How does your leadership going to help them guys coming up?
I'm hoping I can just support them, help them through the plays, and just love them up, keep them ready for the next one.
So when you have problems throwing the ball a little bit like we've had, not as much success in the last couple of years throwing the ball, did you guys talk about that, or what do you see what you guys need to do on the offensive line to make that better?
Yes, sir. We talk about it. We talk about our communication. We lacked a little bit with that last year. Communicate on who we got, who we're sliding, which way, and if we can communicate real good, we'll be fine.
You guys up there on the offensive line, the big guys on front. You got a bunch of good running backs behind you. You had Aiden Cruz at quarterback last year.
Yes, sir.
You'll have the Glover kid this year back there quarterbacking. How does it feel to know you got some guys back there? They're going to do their job. They're going to, if you're not something, maybe somebody gets by you on defensive line, they're going to be able to get out of the way and go make a play.
It feels real good knowing that if we can just get the holes open for the running backs, they're going to be gone, and give the quarterbacks enough time that they can get one of our really good receivers.
Well, how's the spring practice been for you guys so far? I know it's been hot out there.
Yes, sir.
Coach said you've been dealing with a little bit of an injury. How's things going in spring training?
It's going real good. I think we're coming together as a team, and I think by season we'll be ready to go.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about Coach Jones, what he's meant to the football team after coming in last year.
I knew when he first came in, it was going to be different. It wasn't going to be like it used to, and he's always pushed me to be better than I thought I could.
Good. Like I asked Amari a while ago, you've got some new coaching staff coming in. I'm sure you've had a good bit of interaction with the new offensive coordinator, maybe not defense, but offensive coordinator. Tell us what he's going to bring to the team.
I think he's going to bring he likes to tell us to be expert of the details. So we'll be real precise, and I think we'll be like a well-oiled machine.
I asked Amari a while ago, and Coach Jones hit on a little bit. I guess I would, if I were to go out on a limb and say offensive line when it comes to accountability is probably one of the most important positions on the football team. What do you think about that, and how big is accountability to you linemen?
I feel like, we don't get all the love, but that's fine. We don't want love. We just like doing the job.
The big nasties,
yes,
big dirties up front there.
Yes, sir.
Coach Jones, talk about a little bit about the offensive line and Joseph and what it means to that line.
Joseph walks around with a shirt, I don't know who made, but it says the Pancake Platoon. And so, I love that kind of stuff, just to see guys come out of the shell. I'm fine. Listen, Joseph comes from a wonderful family. Miss Nancy helps out, and really coordinates her along with Miss Hewlin, Katie Ruth Hewlin. They coordinate the Fueling the Tribe nutrition group that we have. And so I say all that to say Joseph comes from an excellent family. He's an excellent young man. But the person that I'm starting to see when the ball snaps is the Joseph that I want to see when the ball snaps. And so, that stuff takes time and development. I say this to guys all the time, friends of mine in the profession I talk to from time to time, when us head coaches are not busy, which is usually late at night, because we're either coming from work or, having drop kids off or whatever. And I always tell them, Rome was not built in a day. Everybody wants a ready-made program. And I don't care, what anybody says, about the assessment of this program. When I got here, I knew there was talented kids in pockets. And when I say in pockets, you had some guys who were pretty well known, guys like Omar, and then you had guys like Joseph who was on the team and contributing, but you may not have known his name, right? I knew Amari Wilson's name just because I don't think I coached against him, but I saw his name on the roster, and then you check the stat sheet and you see, right, okay, that's a guy you better be aware of where he is. And so when I say talented in pockets, I've known there's probably not anything that Joseph can't do that if he were to come to me and tell me that I would just act surprised. And usually that's my reaction. Our guys will tell you when they come do something, I'm not sitting wide-eyed like, oh, my God, I can't believe you did that. I expect you to do that. At some point, you got to realize that you can do it. And so every bit of success that Joseph's going to find this season is indicative of who he is as a person, the family he comes from, the faith he has, and just his willingness to be a great person to others. He's probably one of the most helpful guys, not just to his senior comrades, his rising senior comrades, but to the new guys coming in. If he can help somebody, he's going to help them. And I will tell you, one of the fun things about Joseph is during the summer or in the off season when I go fish, outside of dragging Trey along with me, Joseph's going to be the first one I call. So I can't wait for that moment this summer because I know, that's the emotional thing about being a coach. As excited as I am about, coaching somebody like Kiera and Michaela Milton, these guys, the clock's ticking now, right. So I'm going to enjoy every moment that we have outside of being under the Friday night lights because they're such excellent kids who I'm hoping to just be a small snippet along the line of helping grow them into being excellent, young men and men of character and men that go forward and make this community better. So.
All right, thank you for that, Coach. Joseph, appreciate you joining us.
Yes, sir.
Good luck to you guys next year. Look forward to seeing you on the field.
Sammy, I said we're saving the best for last because this is probably one of the quietest people. If you didn't know he was in the room, he wasn't going to say anything to tell you. So I could not – this is a special treat for me. I could not have this guy on just because I tell him all the time, I don't know what your face looks like because his hair dangles. And when he talks into the thing, I'm going to pull my mic up because I half know what he sounds like because he never talks. So,
well, Khalil, man, we appreciate you joining us
Yes, sir.
On the Coach Jones Show. This is your second year going into the second year in the Charlton County program under Coach Jones.
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about last year and what some things that we expect to see you grow in.
Last year, we had a good season. You know, we completed some goals, like make it to the playoffs, but we fell short. This year, I just hope that we put it all together and just get deep into the playoffs, hopefully make it to the championship. And Coach Jones, he got me right with being like more physical, like getting bigger in the weight room, doing everything he asked me to do.
Right.
And then next year I'm just going to try to put it all together for my team.
Yeah. Well, you, if I'm not mistaken, you played both sides of the ball last year, wide receiver and quarterback. Am I correct on that? Where do you prefer to play most at, wide receiver or cornerback?
I think I'm better at receiver, but I have more success at corner.
Yeah. Well, the defense gave up a lot of points last year. What do we need to do to improve on the defense side of the ball this year?
Communication.
All right. When you're on the offense side of the ball, deep routes, short routes, crossing routes, what do you like to go?
Deep route.
Deep route. Tell us a little bit about these two guys sitting here to your right of your teammates. Star running back, big offensive lineman. Tell us a little bit about these two guys.
Amari, he just, like, since I came in, he just showed me around everything because I was a new kid. He just showed me around. Joseph, I had classes with him, so I talked to him a lot. And then, like, he just showed me, like, he was a great person. Like, everything we did, we went fishing together sometimes. They were just great teammates. Keep pushing me, letting me know I'm just okay. I can make mistakes and just do better.
How important are these two guys to the football team? You said you look up to them. You have some classes with some of them. They're seniors. You're a senior now. How are these guys leaders on the football team?
Amari's leader, like, he's more vocal than me, but like I lead by example. And Joseph, he just everything he do, he's just a leader. Like he could tell you, or he can just do it by example. He's just a leader in all aspects.
How many pick sixes are we going to get out of this year on the defensive side?
Need at least 3.
At least 3? I'll take that. I'll take those 3. Coach Jones, give us a little bit of insight on Khalil.
He's just quiet. I've never heard him talk that much. He's well-spoken. No, Khalil's fun to be around. Khalil and I talk about football situations, a lot throughout the off season, just walking by and telling him, just messing with him about, you got to be able to pull your hair out of your face in order to see. And I'll tell you, Mr. McCoy, who I will give a special shout out to. Hopefully he's watching and recovering. We love you and we miss you on campus. And so Miss McCoy walks in every day. And I think I happened to be talking to Khalil one day, and she was like, "Hey, honey, will you pull your hair out of your face? I've never seen your face before." And I always mess with him because when I thought about it, I said, you know what? Khalil plays for me, and I don't know if I know what his face looks like. So, no, Khalil's just fun to be around, super talented. Again, he's one of those things like, with all of our kids, but one of the things I tell Omar, I think your best days are ahead of you. You've got to come out of that shell. And I think one of the things that he said, really what Joseph said got me. I wrote it down. We have got to, as a program, as a football team, we got to become whole. We got to become, one. So I think you asked Khalil a question, and he answered with a one-word response. But how do you become better on defense? And it's communication. It's at least everybody knowing what everybody's supposed to be doing. It's the same thing on offense and then special teams. So, just listening to him talk, and I knew he was that well-spoken. So when I say I've never heard him talk, I've made him talk before. You're going to sit in here and we're going to talk to each other. I'm going to know that you can carry on a conversation. He's super intelligent. And so I'm looking forward to helping him get to the point that he wants to get to personally, because it's kind of like this for me with all of our seniors. As they go, we're going to go. Right. And so they're the group that, I tend to spend or want to spend the most of the little bit of free time that I have, just because this is their last hurrah. I hope it matters enough to them that they are going to push themselves, and in turn, the younger guys see them pushing themselves and them to become more vocal. So love each and every one of these guys and super proud of them. again, these guys have been out here every day. I know one of the things you talked about, everybody talks about, Omari is such a nice guy. I told the team this today. The last part of practice, we're doing a scrimmage type drill, and he's shaking his head because I never would have expected him to do that. He makes a tackle, knocks, I don't know who you hit, but he hit somebody, and he ended up turning around and leg whipping me. And I knew as soon as he hit me in my leg that I was probably bleeding because I felt his cleat dig into my skin. And so he gets up, and I look up, and then we go to condition, and I send him to the line, and I'm looking down, and I'm like, God, this is football now, Sammy, because I look down, and it's just blood rushing out of my leg. And I was fine with that because that's football, right? I don't get that. And I was like, man, I don't get to do this anymore. So we call the team up at the end of running, and I go to Omar, and I'm like, why are you so nice? Sir, what are you talking about? I said, I'm bleeding. You cut me. He said, I know, Coach. I'm so sorry, man. I am so sorry. I said, no, that's what I want you to do. You are so soft. Why would you apologize to me? So I tell everybody that, and I can hear them laughing. And I'm like, Omar, you gave me something I have not had in years. You gave me the opportunity to feel like I was playing again. And so, no, all of them, we all find our ways to be fun, with each other and love each other. So I'm looking forward to this group. What I do feel like I can do with this group, not that I couldn't, we had guys in last year's group, Aiden Cruz, who's I'm going to do whatever you try to tell me to do, Coach, and I'm going, if you want me to lead, if you want me to watch the door and help, it's going to do everything. Maurice Sims and, A.J. Johnson and Tyler Harris. We had guys in David Walters, had guys in last year's senior class that this was new. It's never easy when you're the senior. You've had one coach or a coaching staff, and then here comes a new coach. So when I say foundational builders, I appreciate them. What I feel like I can do more with this group is, hey, we know each other. So now it's time to go do more. So what they knew is last year's, fall preseason camp is not going to be the same as last year, I'm going to throw a couple wrinkles in there at them, and they'll live up to the expectation. Right. But I can do a little bit more with this group because we're familiar with each other. So I appreciate last year's group because they're the foundation of the house. But this year's group is going to be the building blocks and all the fancy little widgets and gadgets that you put in your house to make it nice. So.
All right, thanks, Coach. Seniors. Khalil Smith, Joseph Zetmeyer, and Amari Wilson, and I'll try not to call you Maurice this year, I promise that. Guys, I look forward to calling your name and numbers at least 15 games next year. So good luck to you guys.
Thank y'all.
You want to go into the spring game?
We can go into the spring game.
All right. Go ahead, Coach. Tell us a little bit about the spring game coming up.
Yeah, so the spring game will be in a controlled format, a controlled scrimmage. Be us against the Union County Tigers out of Lake Butler, Florida, a little bit outside of Jacksonville. Probably the easiest way if we've got somebody out there that, is going to look them up, where's this place at? You think about Jacksonville, you think about Gainesville, you kind of got to go through Lake Butler to get to Gainesville. They play really good football. A name that may be synonymous with, the state of Georgia football that was in Florida was Coach Robbie Pruitt, was the coach there. For a good little while. Union County is a single A school. They played really good football for a while. Coach Thomas and I talked about this, I think, early in the season. I put something out about needing a spring game opponent because this is kind of my take about spring football in single A. Most people opt out of doing spring football because there's a lot going on, and there is a lot going on. Right. If you want to look at what it has meant for our school, for there to be a lot going on, go in the admin office in our school, and the first thing that you're met with right outside of our assistant principal, Mr. Tommy Harris's office, is all of the trophies for this spring sport. Right. It is phenomenal. Half of the table's full of trophies for spring sports. And so our kids are not only busy taking end-of-course tests and studying for final exams, seniors going on grad bash and going to prom and all of that kind of stuff. But on top of that, we're going to add spring football in the mix. I mean, heck, our baseball team who, shout out to Coach Marchman and all of our assistant coaches, Coach Graham, Coach Corder, and everybody on the baseball team that are going over to ECI tomorrow, I believe y'all are going over.
They are, that's correct.
You know, they're in the thick of things. They're one game away from the state semifinals again, which has become, you know, a common occurrence. You see the Charlton County Indians baseball, and you're expecting a deep playoff run. That's just indicative of the program Coach Marchman's built here. But I think that it's important to do spring football in single A if you can. One, I'm not a fan of the two fall scrimmage things, because you play 2 fall scrimmages and you go right into your first game unless you got week 0. Well, if you got week 0, then you're full on through the rest of the season, and I don't think that's healthy for your football program. And so for me, being able to play a spring, being able to practice for the spring, and then this year, unlike last year, so it's like building blocks. Last year we played a spring game between ourselves here that I know probably wasn't fun to everyone, but it was an opportunity for me and the coaches last year to evaluate our kids and see what we needed to work on. This year, let's add a little bit more. Let's put a little bit more competitive edge into the game. And so, like I told our kids, and you can ask them on camera, off camera, I have not talked about how hard we've got to go play next Thursday. That's to be expected. If I've got to come in here and motivate you to compete against anyone, then we're already in trouble.
Well, it gives you a chance. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it gives you a chance to get out here and hit each other for about 3 weeks, and then go hit somebody else.
Yes, and so for our kids, I think they're chomping at the bit. You know, I had to tell them today, like, Coach, we're gonna prepare, and I'm thinking, just like Coach Thomas and I have talked briefly, but they're also sitting over trying to answer some questions that they have, and there's going to be some things answered Thursday, but what you'll probably take away from, if you go into a spring game and you leave feeling like, oh, we're going to win the state this year, somebody's going to sneak up and get you because you still got to go work.
Right.
And so what I want us to come out of next Thursday healthy. I want us to come out of next Thursday having a sense of confidence, at least in the base things that we're doing. But more importantly, I want what we do in the spring to not necessarily we look to highlight. So Amar can go score, on every time he touches the ball and every time we throw the ball, and Joseph can pancake somebody or stonewall somebody in pass protection. But what I want them to be more concerned about, and the kinds of people, if you listen to them when they were talking, they're going to be more concerned with how can I get better for the summer, and then how can I take that and get better in fall camp, and then how can I take that and get better for our scrimmage. So it's going to be a controlled scrimmage. Obviously, both teams, we share the same sentiment. We don't want to get anyone hurt, but we want to get some really, really good work in. I know it's a little earlier start time. Union County requested that, obviously, due to travel. They don't want to get home at midnight or anything later after that. So we're starting the game at 6 o'clock. It's a $7 admission. We're going to get in and we're going to have officials here. To that respect, we're going to try to play the game as close, so we'll run out and, we'll have the war chant playing, over the speakers. I believe band's got a concert that night, so there's a conflict, but our cheerleaders will be here. And hope to have as big of a crowd as we can come out to support our guys. I will provide you guys with the scrimmage format and then kind of what we've talked about as far as televising throughout the game. It's going to be a little different. We'll do it. If anybody's watched March Madness, I thought that was pretty interesting, or the national championship games. Throughout the games, you've kind of got the game going over in this box, but I was just intrigued by, in the bigger box on the TV, you've got guys commentating and talking about the game and bringing people in. So throughout the game, you'll be able to interview us. You'll be able to interview some of the players from both teams. So anybody from Union County that's watching, you have our utmost respect. We're honored to welcome you guys into historic Champ Bailey Field for both teams to get some great work, but more importantly, come out safe. And this be the catalyst for us into the summer program.
All right. Anything else, Coach, before we get out of here?
No, I more so I always tell you guys this. I'm appreciative of what you do. It is special to be able to have this platform in high school football. I know a lot of people tell you that, but I truly do mean it. We're super busy all the time with what we're trying to do within our football program, but anytime I text Adam last week about, could we come on and do something to just kind of preview, to talk about all the work that we were doing with track and doing with spring football and, me to be able to say something really good about baseball. And I know tennis has done really well. Golf is doing really well. If I missed anybody, I'm sorry. I'm sure I'll pass by the trophies tomorrow and say I forgot to mention that. But I'm just extremely honored to be at a place where winning is important, but the support for the pursuit of excellence for our kids is important. So thank you all. Thank everyone who's supportive, and we're going to go finish things off the right way. I know baseball is going to start it off tomorrow, and then we're going to go try to finish it off this weekend in Albany, and then next week, kind of conclude everything on Thursday here at home.
All right, Coach. Appreciate you joining us, seniors. Appreciate you guys. And that'll do it for the Coach Jones Show.
Thank you all for watching the Coach Jones Show. We'll see you next time live on CSN. Have a great